So what's good, lady? How are you enjoying? I'm so jealous. I'm looking at them palm trees in the background. Oh my goodness, that clear blue sky. That can only be one to two places in the United States. That's either Florida or California.
Florida.
I know.
Yeah.
hmm That's your jam.
Yeah, I
Last
like
couple,
Florida.
yeah, last couple times you and I have chatted. That's where you've been when you've been out of town.
Yeah, we like Florida. It's relaxing and we like the warm weather. So,
Yeah, I have a great time. I've had a beautiful time. Matter of fact, every time I've gone to Florida.
yeah, I mean, because it's relaxing and I don't know, like it helps you to kind of like appreciate Michigan because we do have the four seasons and
hmm
it gets super, super hot down here. Not like it up where we're from. So, yeah.
And I like the people in Florida. Like
Mhm.
when I go to California, and it's been years since I've been to California, but I'm not gonna say I don't like people. I've got good relationships with people in California, but people in California is not down to earth. Like it's always a
A lot of
game,
pomp and
it's
circumstance.
a game behind a game behind a game behind a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I experience that over and over again. It's like people are very rarely who they say they are. And then when you finally get past all the different veneers and veils and stuff, then okay, you get to know one person. It's like, okay, we can vibe. But that
Hmm.
process, people in California make it difficult. I find people in Florida, even the ones who are wealthy and obnoxious and, you know, they're still down to earth in a way where it's like, come on, let's just have a straight up conversation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's just put our cards on the table. Be real. Where you at? What you doing? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like Florida a lot. I
I
do.
do too. Yep, I do too. It's a fun place and
Mhm.
we're definitely enjoying ourselves. So,
I wouldn't mind living there if it wasn't for the hurricanes.
yeah. And just like the whole thing with like insurance out here, like
Ooh,
you
yes.
that's like the main deterrent to me
hmm
is because um with several of my listings, because I've co-brokered some stuff down here. Um, it was difficult to get insurance, difficult to maneuver, especially with like the some of the HOAs, the fees are like, just crazy high. So it made it a little bit challenging to maneuver. So that would be a deterrent for me is like the whole insurance piece. And then two, when stuff happens, we already know that they don't like to pay out. So, you know, um,
hmm
one of my business partners had a really, really hard time getting paid out on some claims where some, damage occurred to her property and a lot of back and forth and just, exhausting. So that's definitely something to know about, you know, how they
hmm
roll out here.
Now, one of my mentors, well, can't let her call him mentor. We don't talk frequently enough. He's mentored me, I would say.
Okay.
And every time I start looking at properties in Florida, he's like, Juwan, don't do it. He's straight up like, don't do it. He's like, there are
Has
mark.
he been out here? Does he have
He lives
property
out
here?
there. He's an
Oh,
investor out there.
okay. So yeah, so he's talking from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you listen to the news,
Hmm.
and I go online and I look at, I don't want to call it chaos, but it has been chaotic in the Florida market, depending on where you're looking in
Oh, for
terms of
sure.
property values and whatnot. And I see opportunities. He's like, man, those are not real opportunities. Um, so it's just an interesting market.
Especially when you like know people who are in the game out here. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You like I know people who are in the game out here that are, wholesalers doing flicks and flips, all
hmm
kind of stuff. So it's like very much the type of thing where, you definitely want to know your challenges. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, know like you want to go in with your eyes wide open. You don't want to go in with like rose-colored glasses, like how a lot of investors come to the Detroit market in particular.
And get beat
Um,
up.
well,
They be
they
getting
get
beat up.
they get pummeled and they get bamboozled
Yep.
and and then it's like a lot of times, when you're coming in behind somebody who raked them over the coals and you're like asking them questions, it's like no, like I have somebody right now who's wants to invest, and I was like, what I would highly recommend is you coming for just even if it's just for a day and let's go around the city. I want you to know the city. I want you to see the city before you put your money into the city. So you know the areas, the west side. I sent him the little map I send people of the zip codes, all that, and he really appreciated it because he was able to see for himself. There's nothing worse than someone investing somewhere that they've never physically stepped foot in and then
And people do it.
oh my God, it's
People
it's
do it
it's
on a regular
common.
basis.
It's common. It's so common, So I think that's super important. If you're seeking to build a long-term relationship with an investor, that's the best way to build the relationship, in my opinion, is have them come here, have them tour the city, see what the city is all about. Um, it's definitely, to me, that's just the only way to do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you like the idea of losing your shirt. Okay.
or just like the idea of things, like being presented to you one way, and then when it comes down to it, it's totally not what was presented to you because you haven't
Hmm.
done your due diligence, you haven't done your research, and you're thinking it's something that it's not, which a lot of times that's exactly what happens
Hmm.
over and over again. So.
It's fascinating, man. I'm in a there's an 8 unit you and I have been talking about.
Mhm.
And these individuals have been in the real estate game for at least 40 years, maybe as much as 50. And it's just so amazing to me just how unawares they are of what's going on in their neighborhood and environment and how to get deals and things done. Like I'm almost at the point, they don't even know it, but I'm almost at the point where I'm just gonna walk away from the deal. I'm just gonna let somebody F you over. I really am, because you deserve it. You richly deserve it. Like some of the stupid requests they're making and
Like things that are like not standard or just like something where it's just like, all right, come on, bro, you play too much.
okay, so look, these and I've made and it's been the same offer. That's the thing. I've made the same offer to them
Hmm.
probably 3 or 4 times over the last 3 months. So I've been talking about this property for 3 months.
Okay.
Um so I had some investors come in from Florida to take a look at it. They were like, we're gonna sign the purchase agreement. The day the investors arrive, they decide they're not going to sign the purchase agreement. So I was like, okay, what's the reason why? Well, we want a larger security deposit. And I explained to them, maybe you should have an attorney take a look at my purchase agreement, because there's a reason why I have the inspection period 45 days. Because
A larger earnest money deposit was what they wanted.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired.
No, it's okay.
Largest,
No, it's
largest
okay.
earnest
But
money
but
deposit. That's
but
what they
why?
wanted, largest earnest money deposit. And I'm like,
But
you do
why?
know you're exactly. I was
That
like, you like
yeah,
number one, you need to understand the money's not going to touch your account. It's going to be held by the title company. That's number
correct.
one. Number two, I have a 45-day inspection period. And the reason why I have it is because of behavior like that. Because you're not going to have me in a situation where I have my investors coming from out of town and then you BS them. And then it ruins my reputation. And then you go back in the city acting like knuckleheads, right?
And the whole vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So they did that to me. Second time, sent the same offer, right? they were on some, well, we have people looking at the home that said they're going to invest A, B, C, and D in it. And I'm listening to it. And I was like, have those investors seen the pictures? Have they seen the video footage that I've seen? They were like, no. I said, okay, come back to me in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, just stop playing on my phone,
stop
basically.
playing, stop playing with me.
Stop it.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
stop it.
So this last time, they said, look, your offer is good. You need to accept it. They come back and they said, well, we need an attorney to take a look at it. I said, you should have been had an attorney look at that purchase agreement. Like, what are you doing? You're not attorneys. That's number one.
Why didn't
Um,
they have the attorney look at it the first two times?
because you know people lie. They don't have an attorney. They got a family member friend that does criminal law that gives them some real basic, you know, information, and they're saying they have an attorney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they asked for a higher earnest money deposit. I was like, you've wasted over $5,000 to $10,000 of my money and time already. Because sometimes when I have investors coming from out of town, I will accommodate them. Right? You're going to spend over $250,000 with me. I'm going to accommodate you. Right? We're
I
going to
mean,
make
that's
sure.
good business. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay for your airline ticket. We're gonna cover your hotel, or your Airbnb, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
We're gonna make sure you have a good time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you've blown. Now you want me to blow another $3,000 to $5,000. I was like, you're not getting shit. I'm not giving you any earnest money deposit now. You get nothing because you just want to request it so you can feel good about making a request, but you're not going to get the earnest money deposit because there's a 45-day inspection period, which means I or my investors can back out whenever we get ready because we'll certainly have an inspection done underneath 45 days. So
And
you're just bullshitting. You know what I
well,
mean?
and two,
So
on top of that, it's like, oh, even with the earnest money, both parties have to agree. Like, if once the title company gets the earnest money, let's just hypothetically say, it came into play, everybody has to agree. You're not going to get the check or the money unless the buyer says, yeah, we're
yeah,
gonna give it up to them. And then two, it's like if you wanna have an attorney look something over, then go ahead and do that. But like you've already had ample time to do that. So why are we at the bottom of the ninth inning, bases loaded, and now you're talking about you want to have somebody look at it? Like, stop with the
yeah,
with tonterias and putarias. That's just like games being played. Like,
yeah,
what are we talking about here? So yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy. And it
It
just seemed like
is.
the whole thing with the extra EMD, that's like a dilatory tactic. Like
Yeah,
why does it matter? Like, I mean, obviously you see that we're qualified, you see we're interested. These people are coming from out of town, not because Detroit is just so amazing and great and perfection. They are coming here on business. So like if you want to do business, let's do business. But if you don't want to do business, then that's fine too. But just let me know.
yeah. So they're a little bit upset now because, of course, when I send an offer, you only have 10 days to accept it,
Okay.
and then it goes void. I do that on purpose to weed out the bullshitters.
Well, you
You
know
know
what they
what? I'm cursing way too
slow
much.
feet don't eat.
It's gonna be a YouTube.
Slow feet don't eat, boo.
YouTube's gonna strike this video so many times. Um,
Slow feet don't eat. Hey, that's what it is,
so
you
any
know.
respect. Moving on.
I mean, sometimes it's like that. You got to like, teach people how to treat you,
Yeah.
especially if they're on garbage. Like it just seems like that they're like playing with you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like quit playing in my face. If you want to do business, let's do business. But if you're not interested, that's fine too. But just say, you know what? I don't feel like this is the right time, or this isn't going to work for us, and here's why. Like if there's something that you're looking for, then open your mouth and say that, articulate what it is that you're looking for, because it just seems like they're looking for something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any respect. That was enough excitement for this morning dealing with that. Um, you know, every time I speak with that young man, with exception today, he didn't ask, but every time I speak with him, The gentleman we were dealing with earlier, he always has some very fascinating questions about. He'll ask me advice about, and it's not entrepreneurship advice. It's kind of like money, business, life advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes I'm very reluctant to answer those questions from people or to position myself, quote unquote, as a business coach, life coach, mentor. Number one, I think the whole industry is BS. I'm sorry, y'all. For those of you who are business coaches and life coaches, I think you're phenomenal. But I think the industry is BS oftentimes. Um, but and also because I've made some of the worst mistakes you can possibly make as a young man. I mean, I really have. I've made almost every mistake in the book, right? So oftentimes I find myself talking from the perspective of the things not to do,
Okay.
right? As opposed to things to do. And I will share certain things when it falls in my wheelhouse and my expertise, but I spend a lot of time talking to these young men about the things they should not do
Mm-hmm.
that can torpedo their progress and being able to have agency in their lives and be financially independent and live a quote unquote good life. But he asked me a question a couple of days ago where he was like, based on where he's at, right? And he kind of shared some personal background with me. Um, and you and I kind of talked about this too. Like, um, one of the things he shared was that he spends a lot of time supporting his family and supporting his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the go-to guy. He's the person in that collective where when stuff hits the fan, they're coming to him for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting back thinking about it, and what I'm going to share with him, because I know the question is going to come up again, is I'm just going to straight up tell him, man, you don't have to diss these people, but you're going to have to put some distance between you and those individuals. You're going to have to put some distance. Because if you hang around six cursing cousins, you become a seventh. And if you hang around six people who are constant in crisis, who don't have goals and objectives, they're just trying to survive day to day and try to figure out how they're going to get money from the government and all this other stuff, who are always looking for a way not to work. It does not matter how talented and how skilled, and it doesn't matter how noble your um, goals are, it's going to get torpedoed, right? Um, I, that is the biggest mistake that young men um, in their 20s in our community, it's one of the biggest mistakes they make. I remember I made that mistake in college, right? There were individuals who started my university experience at U of M with. And by my sophomore year, by my junior year, I knew I should not be around them. But it was misplaced loyalty, right?
Mhm.
We came up together, similar socioeconomic backgrounds, rough around the edges, problematic, right?
Mhm.
But as my appetite changed and as my goals solidified, and as I began to really think critically about what I wanted to do with my life, and more importantly, the impact I wanted to have in the world, it was obvious to me these individuals were not headed that direction. Um, and once again, out of loyalty, at least that's what I thought it was. I thought it was loyalty. I continued to be around them. So yeah, I was performing well. I was, joining organizations. I was becoming a person of influence and significance in the ecosystem. But I still had these relationships on the side, and it was three incidents that really caught my attention. Where I was like, okay, I gotta I got to put some space between myself and them. Number one, there was a young lady that we all were cool with and knew, and she started hanging out with the people who were from the street life. Let's put it that way,
Okay.
right? They were still doing dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like it was yesterday, I got a phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning where they discovered her with some other woman's husband. And this person was in the life, and somebody had rolled up in their apartment and shot him dead, blew him away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was the wife. I think it was, he crossed the wrong people and they caught up with him. And she was really smart, really intelligent, really gifted. And she lost her life because she wanted to still be a part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She thought that was sexy. Um, I remember another person that I hung around with, and he was like my road dog. You know what I mean? Um, but he went out and did something stupid, and had the police looking for him, and he's living in my residence.
Mm.
And I'm like, bro, I'm trying to graduate. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm
Like I
not,
can't be involved
I'm
in
not
this
trying to
type
catch
of,
a felony
yeah,
messing around with you. I'm like, you gotta go. You gotta get out the residence.
yeah, period.
Like, I love you, but I'm about to beat you down like a brother. Like, we about to fight and knuckle up. You got to get the hell up out of here.
And the thing with people like that, it's like if you care about me and you love me, you're not even going to put me in that type of situation because you know what I got going on. You're going to
Yeah,
keep that stuff away from me. That type of like
yeah,
lifestyle, basura, whatever, all that you're going to keep it away from me. You're going to
hmm,
protect me. But the fact that you're bringing it around me just lets me know that I will be collateral damage too. You don't care.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it's telling me. You
yeah.
know,
It's
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 yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's funny. Like, I remember there was a young man that was a friend of mine, and that's exactly what he did. I knew he was about to get caught up doing something that could have serious consequences, but I wanted to fit in. Right, I wanted to be part of the group. I didn't want to be the punk, or I wanted to maintain my status in the pecking order. And I remember
Hmm.
he told me, he said, "JuJuan, you can't come tonight. People might not come back from what we're about to do tonight. And if they do come back, some stuff gonna follow them." He said, "You can't do it. We're not gonna let you." So you're the person that's got to get out the hood. Um, you're the person that we're counting on to succeed, because we're not gonna do what you're doing.
That's a real friend.
And I was a real friend,
That's
right?
that's a that's the
Yeah.
definition of a real friend. Somebody saying, "Look, you
Mm-hmm.
fall back. You don't need to be around this. Just, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Told you up front, like this is not for you." That's a
Right.
real friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Probably one of the best quote unquote friends I ever had. Now, in my youth, I didn't realize the favor he was doing me at the time. I was just frustrated. Like, what you talking about? But in any respect,
Yeah, but
um,
now, like years later, that you're a grown man and a parent
mhm,
yourself, you have a greater appreciation for
better
that
believe it.
demonstration of true friendship, true loyalty. That's what that is. That is true friendship, true loyalty. Somebody who's like, look, this is my friend. I know this person's going places. I know this person is doing something. I don't want to put this person in harm's way. I don't want this person to even be around anything that could potentially touch them and put them in a bad spot.
Yeah.
That's a real friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't change. Um, as an entrepreneur, as you start to level up and operate at different stages in your development, of
Hmm.
course, it's not as egregious or deadly, right? But
Right.
but look, entrepreneurship is a blood sport, and you're not careful, you will get your teeth knocked out your mouth because of somebody else's stupidity,
Absolutely.
or somebody else playing games or not showing up correctly, right? Um, it's interesting, but that's the conversation I want to have with him. It's like, look, um, you are looking to go full time into this, and you just have to distance yourself from that circle. You have to get around people who are either far more successful than you, at least 3x more successful than you,
Mm-hmm.
or at least be around people who are moving in the same direction, who are moving at, who've achieved what I call it escape velocity, right? That will challenge you and force you to level up and make the investments you need to make in yourself, in your business, in your life. Um, you know, it was funny. He asked me about one of my biggest regrets. And I told him about how in my 20s and 30s, when I started earning like grown adult money, like to be that young and have a $30,000 payday, right? I was so young and dumb, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, traveling between Los Angeles, Atlanta, trying to be on the scene, and he was like, man, but you had fun. I was like, bro, I would trade 300,000 to $1 million and check in the savings account with no destination after tax, with nowhere to go. Than all the fun I had during then. Like, you need perspective. You
And you
need
need people
perspective.
who are really telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yep.
Like a mentor is not like a friend. There's somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's like, no, that sounds
Yep.
dumb. Like flat out telling you off rip, like how your grandparents mentored you and how my grandparents mentored me. Like, oh, that sounds stupid, like just
Mm-hmm.
point, like whatever you said, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, that sounds dumb. Like, and you're like, oh, yeah, duh, okay. Like
Yeah.
that's what you need. Like when you're in that, even now, sometimes I feel like, if somebody's like genuinely investing in you and telling you stuff, you have to take heed to it. Because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many yes people and so many people who will just see you going down the wrong path and not say a word and be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. You're for people don't realize that oftentimes they're other people's entertainment. Like
Absolutely.
you're the crash out that people are
Yeah.
being
The
entertained by.
tabloid fodder.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can just see it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. There's too much foolishness on there. At least what gets fed to me. But I'm watching people on Facebook crashing out, constantly talking about what they don't have, complaining about stuff they see on the news. There's one young lady, I can just tell she's watching news all day long. And she's hanging around the most negative people. All she talks about is the pains and hardships of life. She's constantly talking about deaths, not even in her family, but just people catching L's um, in general, right? It's all over her feed. And I'm like, and you
With
want to
someone like that, I just would
and you want to be an entrepreneur. It's like,
like
no,
unfollow because that's like a poisonous mindset.
it
Like
is.
I'm not gonna follow because personally for me, and I've always felt like this, like on social media, like especially as it pertains to like your image and what messages you're trying to promote, we all have a million bad experiences we could share, we can trauma bond about, but I'm not on that type of time. What type of time
No,
I'm on is the positives, the wins, my losses and my, negative situations, I will share with people who are part of my small circle, but I'm certainly not going to put it on social media because it sends the wrong message and it
no,
creates the wrong vibe.
no,
So yeah, even
no.
even to bash another business owner, I don't feel that me personally, everybody else to each his own. Whatever you do is what you do. But for me personally, like let's say I went someplace and like the service was like trash, whatever. Like because me and my partner always talk about this. Like, oh, I want the I want to see a manager type of attitude. Like to me, I'm gonna go. If it's not satisfactory, guess what? I just won't go again. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm not gonna like put a negative review about it because number one, You don't know what's going on behind the scenes with,
Yep.
their staff. First, personally, I've done restaurant business. I was a bartender for 3 years, and loved every minute of it. It was an amazing opportunity, and I made a lot of money,
Hmm.
because I'm good at it, very good at
Hmm.
it. But like on any given day, you might have two of your cooks call off. Somebody went to jail. Somebody's car broke down. Somebody called off at the last minute. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes of this business. So, you can't, to me as a business owner, like I'm not gonna sit there and, oh, hey, I went here, this place sucked, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna, like take it on the chin and keep it moving. I don't feel like you ever look good making somebody else look bad, especially in a social media type of context.
Yeah.
For people who are like promoting negativity and, all this kind of stuff, it's like I'm just gonna simply unfollow because that's not the type of energy I'm trying to consume. I'm trying to consume
Mm-mm.
people who are like, hey, look, here goes the blueprint of how you can do X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Let me get my phone up. I'm taking notes in my phone right now as we speak, which I do all the time. That's what type of energy I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the pity party or, people who are stuck in the past. Anybody who grew up in the inner city, we all have a million and one experiences of, coulda, shoulda, wouldas, negatives, it's what you make it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a discussion with a business owner yesterday. Her thing was, well, Juan, you attract everybody. And I said, there's some truth to it, right? We're all made of stardust.
Hmm.
So, we're aware of each other.
Hmm.
I said, we all don't attract the same, though. Like, people are tuning forks, right? You can have two tuning forks made out of the same alloys, but composed differently. And if you take one tuning fork that's not composed the same way as another one, that tuning fork can be on the same table right next to the other tuning. You can bang it, it won't vibrate. On the other hand, you take two tuning forks, same alloys, comprised the same way, you can be across the street, bang that tuning fork on something, and then it will attract. I mean, the other tuning fork that's across the street will vibrate. And it's the same way with people. It's like what you said before. I mean, it's a vibe. Um, it's a vibe.
Hmm.
And the way I don't say it's a vibe like in some nonchalant party type of way, but what is the frequency you're operating on? What are your goals? What are your objectives? What are the things that you're listening to? What are the books that you're reading? What are the conversations you're having? I think I already said it. What's the music you're listening to? Like all those things impact how you vibrate and the type of people you attract. Um, because your behavior can either attract people or quite frankly, it'll turn people off.
Absolutely. Repel people big
You
time.
repel people, yeah.
Oh, big time.
And sometimes you want to repel people. Like
Oh, yeah.
you want to, there are people that, no, no, I don't, I'm not needy like that. I don't need you in my space. I don't need you around me to
And I don't want
feel
you in my
feel
space.
justified or
I don't want you in my space.
feel relevant. Like I don't need validation
Right.
from other people. Like no, like I'm solid. I'm 10 toes down in who and what I am and the work that I'm doing and the impact I make and the value I bring to the table. I want that young man to know that. Like I want you to find your purpose or at least define the things that are good for you that give you energy,
Hmm.
and get clear about what showing up like your best self looks like so you can have the discernment you need to decide who you want to date and attract closer into your circle versus those whom you just need to quietly and strategically repel
Hmm.
what you got going on.
And like you said, you're not dissing anybody. You're just subtly, quietly making yourself less available to those people that are draining your energy and or your finances.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. So yeah, that's I've been thinking about that because of course, we had the conversation with him this morning and he asked a million questions. Hey, he's so eager. I
I
love
like
it.
I like it. I
I
like
love
the
it.
energy. I like the vibe. I like it's refreshing
Yes.
to be around that type of energy and to see so much potential in somebody who's like just starting out and having the right mentors is the difference between success and failure, honestly.
Hmm.
Is I attribute all of my success to my mentors. There are people who didn't even know they were my mentors. Like one person in particular, somebody in my family, one of my aunts, and I told her um the other day, I was like, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for you. Because when I was very young, she just showed me a lot. She had a lot of resources and she had a lot of access to different things. Like I traveled out of the country for the first time when I was with her. Just all different types of experiences that like she didn't even really think about it, but she was like, "Oh wow, Miha, I'm glad you brought that up," and she appreciated, me even like being grateful and thankful for the opportunities that she, presented. So I think we all need that. We all need good mentors and people who are going to pour into you and show you things that um you wouldn't have seen otherwise. You got
Hmm.
to broaden your horizons, and the only way to do that is by being in the right rooms, the right circles, the people who know more than you. That's how you're going to get there, and that's
Hmm.
super important. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not worried about it with him. Um, I'm thinking about other people who are in the ecosystem where I'm like, what needs to be said to you? But everybody, they evolve and everyone's walking their own journey.
mhm.
You got to let people cook. But there are a handful of individuals where I'm looking at, I'm like, man, how do I get you to understand how important personal development is? Like, don't tell me that you're investing in yourself when I'm looking at what's coming out your mouth and when I'm listening to and looking on social media and you're posting stuff where it's obvious, like attention is like the sun. What you shine your attention on grows. Um, and it's the same thing. Like these things that you are constantly focused on, conversing about, talking about, coloring your life, it's coming out. And then you're upset because you can't get people who want to do business with you. Whether that's acquiring a product or service or whether or not that's joining you. Man, this, what needs to be said? What environment can that person be placed in? I'm just thinking about my evolution over the course of time. But I guess I always had, from as far back as I can remember, I always had ambition.
Mhm.
I always had something in me where I was like, I can do better than this. Um, there was better out there, right? I was talking to another entrepreneur yesterday. Well, I talked to a lot of people yesterday. Anyway, talking to this young lady, and we were debating about where should she send her son to school and what neighborhood she wants to live in to support her son. And it was interesting. She doesn't know me from, she don't know me from. We never met before, but
Right.
she was listening to the conversation I was having with another entrepreneur. I think she just put two to two together and said, okay, this guy's moving in the right direction. He might have some wisdom to spend some advice or what have you. And and she said, I'm debating between keeping my son in a school that is more consistent with demographically with where they grew up with. And funny enough, both she and I had a period of time where we lived off of Evergreen and Joy Road. So we kind of both chuckled and laughed, like,
Oh yeah, that's funny.
when you grow up in those type of environments, you recognize it, you know what it is, right? And in any respect, um, and the same thing, the neighborhood, like she feels like she wants her son to be protected from the prejudice and a lot of the nonsense that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me how I felt about that. And I told her it was an adjustment, attending a school in that off of Evergreen and Joy Road versus my parents put me in that private Catholic school, right? I think I was one of the I was first group of students to actually integrate that school.
Okay.
Yeah. I think when I attended, I think it started attending second grade. I think there's only two African American students in the entire school.
Okay.
So
How was that for you?
oh man, look, I had to fight, had to knuckle up, you know. Here's the advantage I had over most people. My grandparents in particular, and a lot of the individuals whom I was around, I was aware of my history, right? So I knew the biggest issue African Americans have today is they think they're born from concrete because knowledge itself has been erased. So I know
Mm-hmm.
what stock I come from. I know my ancestors weren't always slaves. I know my ancestors weren't the stereotypes that they put on the television set. I know who we are. Um, so a lot of the things that these young kids and their parents tried to do to break me just didn't work, right? They talk about my lips. And I'm like, well, you do know, because I knew the history, right? I knew what area of the world Neanderthals came from, and I would make fun of them back. I was like, you look more like a Neanderthal than me. Last time I checked, monkeys don't have big lips. You know what I mean? It was that type of stuff going on all the time. They were talking about, I would come to school and I'd have the African cross or on me. They try to make all kinds of um, nihilistic and pejorative jokes. And, because I knew enough history to get back with them,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, but it was constant. It was like constant psychological, mental warfare. I remember there was a period of time where I got into a physical fight or altercation every 2 weeks, right? Um,
Was there like a lot of bullies that were just like want to
yeah,
try
but
you?
the bullies bullied everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the bullies bullied everyone. If a bully didn't matter, but
Right.
it was a large group of students and some of the teachers there who I could tell took umbrage with the fact that I was there, right? I remember I started winning the spelling bees, like the school and the city. I may have won a couple state spelling bees. And I remember them teachers hated it. They were like, Dad, you know, what are we going to do with him? He's a problem,
Mm.
right? Because I didn't fit the stereotype. You know what I mean? Like, I was kicking those kids' asses academically. So, and on top of that, what drove those kids crazy was that I was a nerd, but I didn't mind pulling you out in the backyard and kicking your teeth in. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
I
yeah,
was,
like, that's all in a day's work.
yeah, it was a day's work. You know what I mean? Because I'm leaving school, going back to
To
Joy
exit
Road and
nine.
Evergreen,
Going back to exit nine. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is.
so you want to fight? Okay, I'm not gonna go looking for it, but I'm about that life. We can do it.
I mean, yeah, but you're
Yeah,
also not gonna like back down if somebody's coming and they're writing
yeah,
checks that you know what I mean.
yeah.
They're not, yeah, they're not about that life. Hey, you're writing checks that your butt can't cash. So
Hmm.
okay, here you go. You want a Coco
So
Tazo? I got it for you. It's right here. Come and get
yeah,
it.
so what I told her was that assuming you've done a good enough job of your kids being comfortable in their identity and more importantly knowing who and whose they are and knowing what stock they come from. I was not mad at my parents for putting me in that Catholic school. um, I could have attended a HBCU, wanted to attend a HBCU. I think I've been in some respects, there were a lot of huge advantages
Mm-hmm.
to attending the HBCU that I missed out on. But I'm glad I attended the U of M because it gave me the opportunity to see that there were other people who were living different,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I was at University of Michigan, my peers were driving around in $100,000 cars, right? I think the average median income of a family that sent their kids to U of M, I think was, and this is when I was coming up, I think the median income was like, it was something absurd. It was like $400,000, right? So I saw these kids going to Malibu on the weekend in between classes. I saw them doing all kinds of stuff. It was good for me because it allowed me to see that there was more out there in the world as opposed to the environment that I grew up in. It was good for me to be in an environment that was resource rich, and to be around people who were operating at a different level socioeconomically. It was good for me to see that, right? Um, because had I not been exposed to that, like I was laughing at a podcast earlier today where they were talking about an entrepreneur. He was actually joking about himself. He grew up in trailer parks, right? That's how he grew up from the time he was a child until he attended college and became successful as an entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera. And he said when he graduated, even though he was earning six, well on his way to seven figures, the first thing he did is he went to find a trailer park. That's all he knew. He looked for another trailer park neighborhood to live in, um, because that's what he was comfortable with. That's what he was familiar with. Um, I'm appreciative that because of those experiences, I didn't get comfortable with certain environments and all the conflict that I went through in middle school, to an extent in high school for different reasons, and definitely attending U of M and seeing the flyers they would put on our doors and slip underneath our doors, and all the racial slanders and monkey this and that. You know,
It was that rampant.
oh man, I remember one day there was a young man that we knew. This was I think sophomore year, and he knocks on our door at 11 o'clock at night because he knew which students on campus were about that life, right? When it was time to knuckle up or handle something. And he knocked on our door, and he had a roommate. And this guy was, I forgot what you call him, an RM or something like that. He was the person that managed the dorm. And he
Okay.
and he had a roommate, Caucasian roommate. And evidently this roommate's friends came over and they bullied him, called him N-word to his face. And um, you know,
Own area of control though. That's like where he was like in his
and they
room.
were in a dorm together and this happened.
Oh wow.
Um, they had took something from him. He was getting emails where people were in the dorm were saying a lot of negative things about him in an email. So he came knocking on our door. And when he told us about it, we immediately get on the phone. And I think it had been like 25 of us. We all just rolled up in the dorm, found his roommate, told his roommate to call his friends. So his 5 or 6 friends roll in. They don't know we're there. They walk in the door, we close it behind them, and they staring at, a bunch of 6'2", 200-pound, full of testosterone young men looking at them like, look, you don't want it. You don't want it. We will bring a level of pain and hardship to your life that we know you have not experienced. Like, don't do it. All right, leave this guy alone. And I wish I could say that was like an anomaly, that only happened once, but no, it happened frequently. It happened frequently. I remember a good friend of mine, a young lady, she had a bunch of neighbors in one of the more expensive areas in Ann Arbor. So, it is what it is. And they did the same thing. They were constantly messing with her laundry, slipped some interesting letters underneath her door, the whole 9 yards. Once again, good 25, 30 of us rolled up, looked up at them and said, hey, this is what it is. You messed with the wrong person today. Um, So a lot of that behavior that happened on that campus happened a lot less because they knew it was a group of us on campus that would come see you.
Yeah, that you guys were united and
Yeah.
nobody was gonna just stand around and allow anybody from the community and the group to get bullied.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So yeah, when people know that you know,
They move accordingly.
well,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
because they when you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all if you know, you know.
So I mean, yeah, I mean,
I mean, yeah, because they
so
don't
what?
want no smoke with a group of 25, 30 people. They know they don't want that smoke.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope, not at all. We're like, don't let smooth taste fool you. Yeah, we're nerds, but
But we're still about that life. Exit
yeah,
9 up in this piece.
yeah. So
Like,
um, I don't know. I feel bad for the students now because when I attended U of M, I think the percentage of African Americans on campus was 6% of the
mhm.
population.
Okay.
So there was enough of us where if people wanted to behave in that way, there was enough of us where they were like, okay, there might be some consequence behind this. Let me leave them alone.
Absolutely.
And
No,
now that the
no,
percentage
might
is,
be there is going to be consequence.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
let me rethink this.
yeah. But now I think the last time I checked, and I might be, it's been a while, but I think it went as low as 3%. And last time I was on campus, it was, I mean, I went hours without seeing someone, so when I hear the stories about students getting harassed on that campus, I'm not surprised by it,
Hmm.
especially because they don't have the numbers to. Because the administration is going to keep their hands off. They're concerned about the donor money. They're concerned about the school's reputation. They're concerned about all these other things. They're not going to do anything about it because they don't want to bring attention to it. So if those students don't have the backbone and the wherewithal and the numbers, it's hard to dissuade people when they are intent on behaving a certain type of way. Um, so I can only imagine what that environment might be like sometimes. But in any respect, what I told her is that the best thing she could do for her son, if he's grounded in a certain type of way, is don't be afraid. Don't be, don't operate in fear. Like, um, success is not found in your comfort zone. On the flip side of it, because I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm a huge proponent of HBCUs. There are huge advantages to being at HBCUs. There's tremendous advantages to, as Frederick Douglass would say, um, plant your bucket where you're at and build. You know what I mean? There's huge advantages to that, but at the same time, um, you have to be, far as I'm concerned, if you're going to succeed in U.S. society, you have to be the type of person that can move and operate and access all spaces. Uh,
Agreed.
you
You
know
have
what
to
I
be
mean?
versatile.
Yeah, it'd be versatile. Like you
Yeah.
can't just come up in one environment and that's all you know and that's all the people you know and
Hmm.
you don't know how other people think and how other people live and what motivates, inspires, or have enough empathy to understand that people live different ways and they grow up with, I wouldn't say different values, even though that's true too. But let's just say a different modus operandus. You need to be
Sure.
aware,
Yeah.
right? Um, so it's fascinating, but it always just back to the point. I'm glad that it happened. Um, I'm appreciative of that experience um, because now it, it it takes a lot to disrupt me, right? It takes a it. I don't know, man. I've short of a death happening in the family, there's very little that's going to dissuade me from doing anything, and that won't dissuade me for long. So um, it's interesting, but I want to see that young man definitely spread his wings and start getting around other people who are winning. I want to be able to communicate that to him in a way where um, he doesn't feel like he's being asked to once again diss people, but no, you just got to distance yourself. That's all. Spend more
Yeah,
time.
but you're not like totally like making yourself unavailable to them. You're just like gently moving yourself in a different direction
Mhm.
where like you're not always available. Like,
Mhm.
whereas maybe you're the go-to person, but like at this point you're like super busy with other stuff and they'll have to figure it out and make other arrangements, that type of thing. Not like you're just totally, cutting them off completely, but you're definitely going to put yourself first and implement the 90-10 rule,
Yeah,
period.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. This discussion can go a million different directions, but
Yeah.
hmm I'm looking forward to it. I have some ideals, some things we can introduce to the group to get people on that personal development journey.
Okay.
The book of the month just isn't. It's not enough, especially when 90% of people don't like to read. So
I mean, there's always Audible. You don't have to read, you can just listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to introduce people to different experiences, so they can broaden their mind in terms of what's really available to them. If they're willing to put in the work, help people, um, just do the right things, be a value add to the people in the
Absolutely.
community they're around, and just not be afraid to make quote unquote new friends. You know,
Oh,
so
I agree.
yeah, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Enjoy that beautiful weather in Florida. Actually, I'm finding it a little. It's a tiny part of me that is upset and offended by all that sunshine
How
and
come you
stuff.
guys didn't go to the DR?
Um, because I had to deal with some unnecessary drama here.
Okay, so you had other stuff going on where you like really couldn't leave.
Couldn't leave. Couldn't do it. Yeah.
Oh, well, did it have to do with the hyena?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, I understand now. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's about to come to an end though, thank God. I'm so glad that chapter is coming to an end. I was fortunate to find a really good attorney, and
Oh, that's um,
you know, but he's crushing it. So um,
I'm glad that it's coming to an end for you because I feel like for all the people who really genuinely try to do the right thing and who are, really trying to lead by example, and then to have somebody who's just like constantly trying to thwart those efforts with negativity, it's
mhm.
like, why? Like you would think that they would be glad that the other people involved in this, they have the benefit of having like a really positive person around us. Like, why would you? Because the other end of it is like the person who just like doesn't care, doesn't take action, doesn't do anything, has no interest in any of it. And like, so, but the person who does, you're like basically, um, abusing that person and making that person feel like, they're in the wrong, but they're really not. That's crazy. That's crazy
Oh
work.
no, one thing I will say, I've never felt like I was in the wrong, but yes, you're absolutely
But
right.
just the stress of it and
Yeah,
the financial waste, because that's stuff that could be going towards
the
other
children.
other people's enrichment. Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's trips and experiences and what I mean, all kinds of positive stuff. And it's like, oh nope, I got, X amount I gotta spend over here. Like, make it make sense.
It won't. It won't. I wish I could say I'm an anomaly, but
No, but when you started breaking it down to me and explaining like the dynamic of the people involved and
mhm.
what is really going on behind the scenes, because if you're not a part of that group and you don't have that going on, you don't really know what's going on. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You hear about it like here and there from people, but not to the extent of how you explained, like, these are the people in charge of this. This is the kind of energy these people are bringing. This is
Hmm.
the kind of tactics these people do.
Hmm.
The common occurrence, and this is the end result.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's definitely eye-opening and mind-blowing all in the same time. And you wonder why people are just like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah. Wonder
Just
why a lot of people check out because it's,
I totally
yeah.
understand why though.
Hmm.
I understand why, because most people have limited resources
Right.
and they can't afford to be fully engaged in it because it's like, okay, are you going to use your resources for this or that?
Hmm.
And I think some of it is probably just survival.
Hmm.
Like their resources may not allow them to pull out the Tommy gun like you have and be like, I'm taking everybody out over here. Flat out. Ain't
Yeah.
gonna be no witnesses, no bystanders. Everybody's gotta
Mhm.
go. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But in respects, we gonna not conflicts about be put to bed.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I will see you. Well, I'm gonna text
At
you.
5:30, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
5:30 tentatively. If not, on to the next one, the next one.
Yep.
All right, I'll talk with you soon.
All right.